When I moved to Santa Fe, I just converted to Catholicism because I was just hunting for truth, and it was the only church that felt like the truth, so I joined up. I didn't know anything about the Bible or the Lord or anything, but I moved to Santa Fe and I joined St. Anne's Church, and I was taking a class at night and I met a nun, Sister Helena Carney, and she gave me Cross and Switchblade and Late Great Planet Earth. And this hunger began to grow. And then she took me to a full gospel businessman's fellowship meeting, and Mario Murillo was there, the speaker. And I remember thinking, get me out of here. These people are really crazy. And then a woman got healed up in front. And it was just, I remember just being overwhelmed. I didn't have any place to put that in my agnostic background. And then Helena invited me to Culligan's. And I started going there, and one night Miles got up and said, a young man has moved to Santa Fe, Don Compton, and he started a little Bible study coffee house. If you can, go down and just welcome him, make him feel at home. We met, and it was the first time that I ever heard from the Lord. And because I didn't know people heard from the Lord. I never heard that. But as I stepped in that, I heard this, not audibly, but I heard this, you stay here and get healed. It was real strong. And so I went every night, 5 nights a week for 3 years. I don't know if I ever missed it.
In September of '71, again, when Mario Murillo was at the College of Santa Fe, and I guess it was the gym at that time. So I went, and we were standing in bleachers, and I was just like, yeah, okay, and being kind of ornery as I was in those days, and still am to some extent, they gave the invitation to accept the Lord, and I was like, I'm not going down there, no way. And I felt something in my back, like a gentle push, and I was going to turn around and give them what for. And I turned around and there was nobody there, and I was like, okay, I'm going down the bleachers to get saved. And they took us off to another room, and there was quite a few of us, and they gave us the plan of salvation, and also the baptism in the Holy Spirit was talked about, and we received them both the same night. And after that, I got involved. I know I went to the Culligans and started going to Shalom and met Abby, and we've been friends for a long time.
Are we going to tell how many years? It's been a long time.
45 years.
45.
Yes. And during that time period before I got saved, I was very suicidal, and I was in counseling, and I was doing some drugs, and I was just like totally on fire. I couldn't believe how much I had changed from being a radical stoner, because I really truly didn't really want to live. I was, in those days I was afraid to grow up, but when the Lord came into my life, it was a whole new thing, and I just couldn't get enough of it. And going to the Culligans and going to Shalom every night, and you go into the Shalom Ministries building, and there was no chairs. We sit on the floor. There was pillows and coffee, and there were these little tables that were rolled out of the floor. And we'd have Bible studies, and we'd go there every day, and if we didn't go there, Don was always taking us somewhere, either to Albuquerque to Valley Gospel
Tabernacle.
Yeah, for church. And that was an eye-opener, when they'd get up and start, worshiping, and they'd be marching around the church, and they'd be like, okay.
That was the first Pentecostal church I ever went to, was Valley. Don took us down one Sunday, and I'd been to Catholic churches, and, that was about it. And we got in there, and an hour later, they were still singing. Mm-hmm. And I just thought,
By this time, most churches are done. Everybody's leaving. Church hadn't even started.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was amazing. And then Don would take us to different churches, Pentecostal churches all over northern New Mexico, and expose us to that kind of thing. And we go to Shalom, and he'd have us like stamp tracts.
Yeah.
And pray. And then we go down and hit the plaza. I mean, I would get almost sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
I had to go down there and share the gospel with these strangers. It was so scary. And we had to pass out tracts and talk to people. And then we come back to Shalom, and we'd share and pray for people. And I mean, it just radically changed a lot of us, because Don forced us into ministry. We go to a church, he'd say, Sister Debbie, get up and give your testimonies. No way. We'd have to get up and share and talk, and what did God do in your life today? Let's see, what did He do? We began to think in terms of, wow, Jesus is active in our lives all the time, every day. What did He do? How things changed. And well, one thing I remember is one night we were there. It was summertime, and it's right on Canyon Road, right? And there were windows, windowsills and windows that opened out like that. And one night Don put loudspeakers on the windowsills, and what did he? So the Christian music, I think some gospel was going out over these real loud, and people, hippies.
The drunks.
Drunks were going down the road with their fingers in their ears, just like that. And Don would just laugh, but very often people would stumble in from the bar, drunk. And it was amazing. I mean, Don would start to minister to them in the power of the Holy Spirit, and they would sober up and sometimes start crying. And it was like the book of Acts. I couldn't wait to get there every night.
Yeah.
And remember I think it was Rudy Rodriguez Sr., one night he said, this place is like a auto body shop. He said they come in, they're just wrecks. They come in the front door and they leave and they're all cleaned up. One night I was going down Sirius Road in my little blue Volkswagen Bug, and I never picked up hitchhikers. I mean, I'm single, and I didn't do that. And it was just, I saw this girl hitching, and it was like the car just drove over there by itself, and I drove her and I picked her up, and her name was Rita. Just started talking, she was Jewish, and we just started visiting, and I could see she was hungry for truth. So I just began to share with her, some Old Testament scriptures from Isaiah, about Jesus and stuff. Well, by the time we got down to Rodeo Road, the Cerritos Road, she was weeping. So I pulled over to the side of the road, and I had a Bible in my car, and I pulled it out and started reading passages. She's just crying and crying. So I took her home, and she was living with a guy named Tom Tree. And so I picked her up the next night, brought her to Shalom, and she gave her life to the Lord. And then, I guess it was just a few days later, Tom Tree accepted the Lord, and he's actually Peter Tsukahira. So that's Peter and Rita, and they're working in full-time ministry in Haifa, Israel. Outreach like David Wilkerson's old outreach, where they take in drug addicts and people with problems like that, but they also, refugees who are coming from Russia and places like that to Israel and resettling. In Israel, they minister to those people, and I think they have, clothing and food and computers that they give out, and they're working with young people. So it's just a huge ministry center where they've led so many people to the Lord. And Don told me, he said that Peter is now considered the Billy Graham of China and Japan. And that's the fruit of Shalom Ministries.
How amazing.
And then Andrew and Connie Shishkov, of course, are Eitan, and Connie Shishkov are over there in Haifa as well, ministry, and have a big Messianic congregation over there. So those are all early Shalom people.
Come, Holy Spirit.